Hi, and welcome back. It's been a really long time since I've been here, but that's because I've been busy working and I've had a lot of stuff to do. But I'm going to try to show more videos in the future. Anyway, the reason I'm making a video now is because I found something at the local GameStop that I really wanted to share with you. And that's because you probably know that I'm an old Commodore 64 enthusiast. I already said it there, right there. But I didn't actually pick up an original Commodore 64 because I already have one. You may remember this beast. This is a Commodore SX64. It is a Commodore 64 in a box, if you like. It has... Let's see if I can open this. It's been such a long time ago. I think I had to do it. All right. This is actually a functional Commodore 64 in one box. It has a separate keyboard, as you can see. And it's a very, very sought after collector's item. You can see that on eBay if you want to. And there's actually a Commodore 64 complete with not hard disk, but disk drive and a color monitor. I do believe this is one of the world's first luggable Commodore 64 portable computers. I actually believe it's one of the first portable computers with a color screen, actually, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm sure you can figure that out. But I think so. Anyway, as you can see, this one is a little bit cumbersome and hard to use. So it's gathered a lot of dust over the years, and I don't really use it a whole lot because, let's face it, this thing is not practical anymore, but I love it so much. It's my old story from the days when I was coding my own games. And it was fun. Imagine being 13 years old and making your first video game simply because you loved arcade games and simply because it was very difficult to get games back then. They weren't growing on trees and you just waited for a release month by month to see if there's anything coming up. And they were usually coming out on tape. And I couldn't afford one of these, so this is one I got much later. I had a Commodore 64 with a tape player just like everybody else. All right. I'm going to show you exactly what I got. This is what I picked up. This is a Commodore 64 emulator, and sort of, because there's kind of like a RISC microcontroller on it. And it's not, the keyboard you see here is not real, and believe me, that's not dollars, that's Swedish pesetas. That's not as much as dollars, as you can guess. But anyway, this is a Commodore 64, obviously complete with a joystick. And as you can see, it's still unbroken. So I'm going to open this thing and see if there's something exciting to this. I've heard that you can actually download games from the internet and run this real Commodore 64 demos and games on this. And believe it or not, since the Commodore 64 used to be the absolutely best-selling computer of all times, there are actually quite an active scene even today making games for this computer. And this is how the Commodore 64 actually looked back in its days. But this is just a small model, a small-scale model of it. And as I said, the keyboard doesn't really work. It could be a nice modding project in the future to actually just sew up those keyboard elements and just make small clicky keys inside of it instead. Maybe somebody else will do it. The producer of this has said if they sell enough of these, they will actually try to remake a real Commodore 64 with USB and HDMI connection. One of the problems with this thing is that it doesn't have a normal composite video output. But that's not a problem for me because I'm thinking I don't really have a lot of stuff anymore that's using composite. And I do have a couple of old screens and monitors, but I rarely use it. So I would really like to play some old Commodore 64 games on my big flat screen, just like everybody else has a flat screen these days. So you probably won't look at your old Commodore 64 to try to connect it anyway, because the picture quality is horrible when you look at today's standard. I'm guessing this is going to be a lot pixelated and stuff like that, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a fun thing to have, and I just thought, wow, something Commodore 64 related is being sold in the stores today. Are you kidding me? I gotta have this. Seriously, I gotta have this. So I bought this. Let's open it up, shall we? Without further ado. This is the first for me. You could probably seen it on 8-Bit Guy anyway. But if you haven't, I'm going to open it up here for you. And I'm going to be just as surprised as you are because I haven't opened this up, so I have no idea how it looks. Well, a little bit from the 8-bit guy, but you know, you got to experience for yourself in order to figure it out. Oh, and by the way, I have been busy updating my computers too as well. I thought about making a video about that, but time ran away. I just didn't have the time. So I just built the computers anyway. Sorry, guys. I probably should have built the computers with you guys. That'd probably be a lot more fun. But I can reveal to you later what kind of computers I built. And you're going to love this because it has something to do with really fast video editing. I finally have a computer that really kicks. Really kicks. I can tell you that much. You can guess what that is. Anyway, let's open this up. Oh, nice box. Let's get this unboxing thing over with really fast because, you know, you've probably seen the unboxing already. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, look at that. That is adorable. This actually looks like one of the most best-selling joysticks that used to be for Commodore 64. And for you people playing along who has never seen a joystick, that's what we used to play with when we were kids. And we used the keyboards too, of course, but we wanted to have the arcade stick, just like in the arcade games, you know, etc. So let's get this thing unboxed. It does not come with a power supply, which is a bit of a bummer, but it comes with a USB compatible input, I suppose. So we can actually use, I'm just going to toss this away here. So, wow, they really kept true to the original. I missed the cassette port though, and I was kind of hoping it had a floppy disk connection so I can actually connect a real floppy disk to it. I don't understand why they didn't actually just put micro buttons in here, because you can clearly part all of these. Maybe that's a project for me later in the winter time when everything is finally cold again here in Sweden. We had the hottest summer ever in Sweden. I mean, we had between 30 and 34 degrees every single day. You Australians are watching along at home, you're probably going to laugh at this because that's your everyday experience, you know. But for Sweden, that's really strange. And I kept mostly indoors because, you know, I'm originally born a ginger, and me and sun is kind of like a vampire walking out there. It's going to be, you know, and I'm going to be burnt beyond recognition. Anyway. It has a power in. Okay, that's a new, not the newest USB, but you know, it has an HDMI, which is important for today's television sets. It has 2 USB ports, and I assume this is either the power button or reset button. It's a cute little Commodore power light here. And it says C64 Mini right here. Oh, that's so cute. And they've even kept true to the old shiny labels that used to be behind here with a serial number and stuff like that. Oh, that's so sweet. Let's see here. There's a joystick. Oh, I'm a little bit disappointed in the joystick. I kind of expected it to be the real thing. We used to have micro switches inside of it, you know, that used to say click, 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 click when you move this thing around. And it doesn't even have that for the buttons. Oh, I'm a little bit disappointed by that. It has a lot of buttons here. I'm suspecting that these buttons are here to replace the enter key, F1, F3, etc. because you obviously can't play all of the games unless you press the start function of some sort. So I'm guessing, they say they have 64 games inside of this machine. So I'm guessing they program every single part to load, so these are programmable function keys. I don't know this. You can also update the firmware of this thing as far as I've heard. I'm probably going to do that later. But I'm going to show this and try this together with you guys. I'm going to go downstairs to my main living room so we can play this on a proper big screen. I do have a proper big screen here too, but it's not a lot of space. And they've been kind enough to include an HDMI cable, a very short one. I do believe I have a longer one myself. And there is a USB cable. And an almost original looking Commodore 64 manual, way thinner than I can remember. It's just a quick guide anyway, showing the connections and stuff like that. And yeah, there's not much more to say to this than let's get started. Let's go downstairs and do this. Alright guys, I have just set this little thing up here. I have just been using a normal power supply, like the one you get with a with your smartphone. This is just a Lenovo that I'm using for my tablet. And I have inserted the USB joystick into this one. And I have connected this one to the HMI of the television set. And the power supply is connected, of course. So I'm assuming this is the on and off button. So I'm going to start right now. And just press this one to see what happens. Okay, nothing so far. Let's try it again. Maybe I need to hold it in. Okay. It's not working. Oh, there it is. There's the light. Okay. Okay. I need to set it up, obviously. Let's try it. It's fun. Let's try this. I need to set up the English first. I guess I just select here. This one, maybe this one, this one. Nope. This. Oh, there it is. Ah, here you can select the games and stuff. Just moving the joystick back and forth. Okay, you can run basic on it too. Pretty cool. Nice. I like this. Oh, Golden Dash! I love that game. Gotta try that. I used to really enjoy this game. It's working great. Should be zoomed in a little, I think. Otherwise, it's pretty okay. The object of this game is to get as many diamonds as possible, and you need to watch out for these, because these are going to fall down on you. And obviously you're going to have to think a little bit strategically in order to do this. And you're going to use it to crush your enemies and yourself, obviously. Alright, see if I can do it. Never mind. Let's try another game. How do I return to this thing? Is there a return function here? Yep, there is one. You can even save and load games. Awesome. And you're using a virtual keyboard. That means you can plug in a real PC keyboard, a USB keyboard, into this unit and use it as a full Commodore 64. I'm not kidding. Oh, there's so many memories here. This is great. What is this? Oh, huge. They used to be absolutely awesome game making. See if I can find something I remember. I remember Thing in the Spring, though. That used to be an awesome game. What's that? I like the fact that there's previews on every game. Way better than those cheap games you can buy, like Nintendo clones, you know, that have essentially 700 games in one, but it just clones of each other. So you essentially just have 30 games or something like that with different settings. This is entirely different. Here you have a lot of Commodore 64. Oh, jump! Oh yeah, who doesn't remember this game? It even simulates the loading. Ah, this is epic. How do I do this? How do I get to the start screen of this thing? No. Oh, this one is obviously one of the function keyboard keys. 1 to 5. How do I select that? Okay. Well, that's a bit of a bummer. So this game, you obviously need a virtual keyboard in order to work, because there's no buttons that I can press here that will get me into that game at all. Well, that's a bummer. So obviously I need to connect the keyboard for that. Haha! No way. You want to see how primitive graphics were back in the 80s? Well, this is your chance. If I can get it started, that is. Nope. Oh. This is at least joystick control. Alright. No, I cannot type the name because I don't have a keyboard connected to it. Oh, wait. That's what the virtual keyboard is for. Of course. Ah, silly I am. Ah, so you can do it with this. Okay, I'm gonna write Tommy. And then I'm gonna like start it if there's an enter function here. There's like all these functions. I think that's the enter key. Alright. Press my button. Okay, what is my button? Please do tell what my button is. Okay. Okay, so this is a two-player game. Am I playing versus the computer? Oh yeah, this is a race game, of course. Silly me. I think I'm racing the computer or something like that. Well, enough of that. I want to return. Let's see if I can find another game. There were games back in the days that were quite advanced. I wonder if they had a license to all of these. This one seems quite advanced. Let's see what it is. Ooh, scrolling. That sounds like Ron Hubbard, what am I saying? Yeah, Rob Hubbard music. Right, that's what I said. Not Ron Hubbard. Am I supposed to pick that up? Alrighty. Well, obviously, I'm not going to waste your time looking at all of these games yet. If you want to see all of these games, you can probably see them on the internet anyway, because there's people who went through all of these things. Well, obviously it works. It's kind of a cute thing. There's not much to say about that. I might be modifying it in the future. But yeah, it works. Seriously, Tommy, virtual keyboard? A virtual keyboard, not a real keyboard? Come on, even you should know this. Oh well, you got the idea. It was kind of fun. Obviously, I'm not going to run through all of the 64 games with you guys here now. I'm going to play them randomly when I'm here, whenever I want to, whenever I want to show off some olden crap from my from my childhood to other people when they come and visit. I'm just gonna have some nostalgia moments, I guess. Oh, but I promised to bring you back to this century and talk about the new computers I've gotten. I have got myself a so-called Threadripper. Let's see if I have the box here somewhere. I believe I do. Comes in a really fancy box like this. Yeah, it's the Ryzen Threadripper, and I got one. And I got the 1950X version, which is a 16-core processor, running between 3.4 and 4.1 gigahertz. And I have 32 gigabyte in my computer, and I have it's DDR4 RAM. But the old computer was an i7 5820K, and I gave that a new box as well because I still want to use the old computer, because for many of you guys, including myself, I mean, the i7 5820K is a 6-core 12-thread processor. I mean, that's not to be laughed at. I mean, that is a modern gaming computer right there. But, you know, I wanted something really high-end where I can use my 3D skills and use it for video rendering too. And it does astonishing results. Let me show you the computers right here. Let me show you the computers. This one is the old computer. I have boxed it in a cheap Anderson cabinet chassis. It's obviously a clone of Fractal, I believe. And you can see the Fractal next to it. And inside of it, it's nothing really that fancy. There is a MSI Gaming 7 motherboard with a X99A and 32 gigabytes RAM DDR4 as well, but it's running at 2133. Here is the other one, and that is my new beast. It is a fantastic Asus Zenith Extreme, which I've been told is also compatible with the absolutely latest generation of the AMD processors, namely the 2950WX, which is a 32 core 64 thread processor. Now I've been told that it's not necessary for me to upgrade my 1950X, which is a 16 core 32 thread, because it's actually slower for gaming. Mine is faster for gaming. My processor has a gaming mode which allows me to reset the computer to use only 8 cores, and that gives me roughly 25% more gaming capabilities of today's games. Now the future will be, of course, more cores. There's no doubt that this is a future-proof computer. And to be honest with you, I still run it at 16 cores because I didn't notice the difference. I'm running full speed on all games that I can possibly imagine on epic settings on everything that I do. And I play things in 1440p. One thing that I did notice with this new processor, though, is that it has an enormous performance. I noticed that Tom's Hardware and PC World and even Linux Tech Tips, they tried the BMW tests, and some of them got 160 seconds on the BMW test. I got 131 seconds. But I was running Linux Mint 18.3, so that could be something to do with it, better memory handling or something like that. I don't know, but my processor is also running really well because it's water cooled. It's running at 28 Celsius idle, as you might have seen on the OLED display. If you have a high-res screen at home, then you can see that it says 28C on idle. And this is the workstation that I'm working on. This is the big Asus, I think it's called P348Q, something like that. Don't quote me on that because I don't remember. But that's the big screen with NVIDIA Sync and everything else. G-Sync, as you well know. It's a 100 Hz screen. And for that, this PC is perfect. I actually tested because I have a 1080 Ti. I have the Asus Strix overclocked editions version, which is 9% faster than the Founders edition from NVIDIA of the same TI card. And I can tell you that my processor renders faster than the NVIDIA card on certain tests in Blender, which is mind-blowing. I have tried so many things. I have never before realized that I can work in real time with my CPU instead of utilizing my GPU. And this opens up a whole world of new possibilities. It gives me 32 gigabytes to play with instead of just 11 gigabytes to play with, which means I can afford more textures in my projects. Also, it's very fun to run stuff in real time. I can run rendering in real time on it. I'm perhaps going to show you this later, not today in this video, but I've been thinking about introducing Blender 2.8, which is a product I've personally been supporting, just like everybody else who got one of those little keychains with a 16 gigabyte stick, you know, just to support the development of 2.8. And I love the Blender development because it's fantastic. You should check out Blender on blender.org because it's a fantastic 3D program that's free for everybody to use. And it's so powerful. Version 2.8 is not production ready yet. There's a lot of crashes and stuff like that, but it's one of the world's first where you can do real-time rendering and real-time SSS shading. And it looks absolutely spectacular. I'm playing around with it right now, but I don't have good enough stuff that I want to show you yet. I'm playing with it, and the stuff that I've seen so far is spectacular. So it's going to be fun to play with. That is really good to have a strong computer like this. Okay, that was a little update for me of what I've been doing the last few months. I hope you have been enjoying this, and I hope to hear from you in the comments section below and tell me what you've been doing and what you've been up to lately, and what you like and what you like to see in the future, and what you want me to show in videos like this. Because when I make videos like this, I want to make it for you as well as for me. because I have fun making these. I have fun hearing from you guys. Sometimes you guys send me stuff and you send me letters and you send me comments and stuff like that, and I love to hear from you guys. So that inspires me to make more videos and stuff like that. So thank you for subscribing, and thank you for liking, and thank you for enjoying this video. So until next time, see you around.